How's it? Today is March 31st. It's Tuesday, and geez, today was just not a fun time. Um, Coming into today, my hip has been giving me tons of issues. Just getting to full depth was really painful. So, Steve was saying to just get a really, really good warm up. So I warmed up with hips or leg swings to kind of loosen my hip up, some glute activation movements, some groin stretches, and then 3 sets of 20 on the belt squat. And then he also said to just load about 100 kilos, or sorry, 50 kilos on the belt squat and then just stand there for between 3 and 5 minutes. I think I did like 4 minutes. And it just allowed me to activate my glutes way more. I'm not sure if it really helped everything in the grand scheme of things, but it definitely activated my glutes for sure. Um, Before the workout, he was mentioning that my knee valgus is giving me or making my hip problem a little more significant than it actually is. And I think this is very true because when my knee doesn't go in medially, my hip feels pretty okay. And generally speaking, that's when I lean further forward. So anyway, after all of those warm-ups, I was supposed to do between or about 310 for 5 sets of 5. The original plan was to actually go about 335 for tons of triples, but given how hard it is to reach depth with my hip, he wanted me to kind of focus more on getting to getting good reps. So here's my first set that I tried to do at 308 for 3 sets, or I was supposed to do 5 sets of 5, but I hit that first set of 2 and it just felt terrible. And so right before that, he texted me a message saying to just pick a weight that I can confidently do. I thought I was going to be able to do that 308 for at least 1.5. And then I moved into lowering that weight to 297, and as you can see, I struggled with just one, so I dropped all the way back down to 275. And I did a total of 10 sets of 5 here. Basically, he said, if I can get quality reps at lower intensity, the volume can go through the roof. That's not exactly what he said, but it's kind of the gist. These reps are not specifically like difficult or tremendously difficult, given how hard and how heavy I've been training lately. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, very recently I was doing 5x5 at 330, and so 275 should be kind of just really easy, but the way my hip has been articulating lately is just not conducive to pushing heavier weights for lighter or for less reps. So I get all of the sets of 10, or all the sets of 5, all 10 of them. About halfway through, I figured out a technique cue that would help a lot more with just moving properly. I think it's not this set, it's not the next one, it's the one after that. But it's to allow the weight to kind of fall lower on my back, so kind of more in the meaty part of my trap. So it pitches me further forward, so it gives me better quad activation through the entire range of motion. At least that's what I think. It's I'm not sure if this is what's gonna make all my squatting in the future easier or whatnot, but Steve was mentioning that the squats at this point in my training should be just whatever feels the best. Yeah, so here's the set. Kind of hard to tell what's happening, but the bar is rolling off my back because this bar is bent, and it's a lot lower in relation to everything else. So I'm pitched a little further forward, and yeah, my rear delts were kind of on fire here. So I tried to emulate that for the rest of the sets, and I do think it helped a lot. But given how hard I've been pushing, the sets do look still challenging, at the very least. I think there's a good thing to be said about how much my knees don't push in. Maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever it is at this point, my knees would just fall into valgus straight out of the hole. You can see there. It didn't really move. That one kind of did, but it did push back out. I'm trying to maintain outward pressure the whole time. I was struggling towards the later sets, but I was like, okay, I only have 3 left or 2 left or whatever it is, and that mentality usually gets me through. So here's my 8th set. Yeah, you can see my hips in the hole, they don't shift as further. Well, that one did. I was gonna say that they don't shift as much forward as a couple of the other reps. That was probably the hardest rep I did. Positionally, I was just off, and so speed disappeared. So I was trying to be better about where my hip tracks through the rest of all the sets, so it doesn't really fall back in towards my heels. Yeah, so the speed I'm getting is a lot better, as long as I don't get pitched further forward because my hips shoot backwards. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how this went. Aside from all the pain I was feeling, here's my last set. More deliberate movement, slower descent. Yeah, I think these are technically proficient, and my hips weren't particularly sore during these, and I'm just happy I was able to make it through all the way. Given everything and the circumstances, I think it's a pretty good sign. Last week I did 10 sets of 3 at 265, so this week is 10 pounds heavier for a total of 20 more reps, like 10 sets of 3 versus 10 sets of 5. So all things considered, today is just significantly more than I did last week. Again, last week was like a deload, but progress where I can take it. So I did some good mornings here. This is 87 pounds. This is a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be for 315s. So maybe in the future I should go lighter than this. This first set was easily the best set, and then everything else kind of just devolved through the time there. I finished up with some belt squats, 3 sets of 20 at 60 pounds on the belt, on the bar, on the beam, whatever. I'm really happy I got to use it today. I forgot about a hamstring movement, but I don't know. The good morning kind of hits a little bit of hamstrings as well, so I'm not too upset that I didn't do the hamstring movement. Yeah, and then that will conclude it for today.